2020 was not my favorite year, and I doubt it was yours, but when it came to electric cars, it was quite interesting. So let's talk about the top 3 best and worst electric car news stories of the year. And at the end, I'll even dare to make some predictions about the best and the worst news stories that might be coming up in 2021. You can play along in the comment section, and we're gonna start right now. Welcome to E4 Electric, your #1 source of electric car scoop. If you are interested in everything that's going on in the world of electric cars, well, go ahead and click on that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. All right, we're gonna do 3 each, best and worst stories of the year, taking turns. And of course, we're gonna start with the 3rd worst electric car story of the year. And that brings me to Tesla's broken promises. Now, before you start typing, I knew it, Alex, you are a Tesla hater, wait for about fake watch, I don't know, 10 minutes, and you'll see that comment might look a little silly when we're done with this video. And I know other automakers break their promises all the time, but Tesla is in a very unique position because they're #1 in the world. So whenever they make a mistake, whenever there's a problem, it gets magnified. And because of that, the trust in the electric car future kind of goes down. And that's why it's an issue. Now, the good news here is that Tesla doesn't usually not deliver. They just delay the deliveries that they've promised. So this is not that bad. There are 4 promises, or at least expectations, that Tesla has not delivered on. Of course, we're going to start with the Tesla Roadster and really the semi-truck as well, because they were unveiled at the same time over 3 years ago, and yet there is no concrete start of production for either. So we're talking about, maybe 4 or 5 years until these become the reality from the point of the unveiling. Then we gotta talk about the full self-driving feature, and don't get me wrong, they've made some amazing progress this year. However, Elon has promised this, a while back. Remember the coast-to-coast trip that he was promising? That still hasn't happened. Of course, the robotaxis are not around us right now, even though he promised that by the end of this year. And I really do think that we're still about 1 to 2 years away from the full self-driving future that Elon has promised. And I gotta mention the refresh of the Model S, which is way overdue. It's probably going to happen in 2021. However, overall attitude towards this flagship sedan has been pretty disappointing. Elon mentioning that Tesla is making it for the sentimental reasons, even though that's still the best car Tesla makes, maybe with an exception of the Model X, and the best car on the market, period. So I hope they move forward with the refresh and make this car continue to be their flagship pride and joy of the brand. All right, let's move on to the 3rd best electric car news story of the year. And I'm actually talking about a cluster of stories that are all about the new electric vehicles that either already came out in 2020 or have been prepped to come out in 2021 to really saturate the market with amazing electric cars that people want. On top of that list is, of course, Tesla Model Y, and I do believe it will become the best-selling electric car for years to come. And it is followed by the Volkswagen ID4 and the Ford Mustang Mach-E, which I do believe both are destined to a mass production that will be very popular among those electric car future owners who don't necessarily want to drive a Tesla, but just want to drive a good electric car from an established brand. I should also mention the Lucid Air, which will challenge Tesla in many different spec categories, and I think finally the head-to-head competition will be exciting, and it is the very first luxury electric sedan. And of course, finally the stage is set for electric trucks led by Rivian, which seems like will be first to market, but also there is Endurance, there is Hummer EV, and many others. So the electric revolution is finally ready to hit the mass market. Before we get to the #2 on our list, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by XPeng Motors, China's leading smart EV automaker that just announced its expansion plan for Europe, and first deliveries have already started For more, follow Xpeng Motors on Facebook using the link in the description of this video. And by climate exchange, yep, the Tesla raffle is still going on. You can win a Tesla of your choice. Only 4,000 tickets will be sold, so make sure to get yours using the link in the description of this video. And even if you don't win, the money will go towards a great environmental cause. All right, let's talk about the second worst electric car news story of 2020. And this one is close to my heart, and I am talking about the end of BYTON. I fell in love with BYTON pretty much at their very first unveiling at CES a couple of years ago. I thought they were one of the most innovative companies I've seen in a while. I was one of the first reservation holders. I love the fact that they build the car around the tech rather than the other way around. I've met their team. They were absolutely amazing. Just like I said, I love the tech. They were always on schedule. They even became a sponsor of this channel, and I became their brand ambassador. However, unfortunately and quite surprisingly, it all came to the end in spring of 2020. Now, I've done my own investigation for a few months using some of my inside sources, and I thought I would find something shocking why this brand that was pretty much destined to be very successful just died overnight. And unfortunately, I didn't find anything sensational. It really came down to two things. One is that one of their bigger investors, FAW, Chinese government-owned investor, had way too much power, and it was really hard to get other investors to buy in. And number two, the internal struggle between Daniel and Karsten, the CEO and the president of the company, that caused a lot of uncertainty, to say the least, and a lot of investors also backed off from that. And essentially, the company spent a total of about 12 months waiting for the next round of financing, which was difficult to get, spending and wasting and bleeding money, and at some point, it just bled out. All right, number two, the best electric car story of the year, and I gotta say, these stories never made the top news because they're not sexy, but as we know, the biggest obstacle to the electric car adoption is the lack of the fast charging infrastructure until now. Now, we know Tesla had it covered for years, but if you wanted a car made by any other manufacturer, your concern was like, where am I going to charge when I go long distance? And you were right. And Tesla couldn't really grow the electric car adoption by itself until 2020. And even now, people are not very much aware that there are pretty decent fast charging networks out there for North America and Europe. Here in the United States, we have Electrify America with over 2,200 chargers at over 500 locations. I should mention they are one of our channel sponsors. We also have EVgo, which is a growing fast charging network here in the US as well. In Europe, they have Ionity, Fastnet, and a few other fast charging networks that have pretty much blanketed all of the main routes in Europe as well. Electrify America, Ionity, and a few others can actually charge at a much faster rate than the V3 superchargers from Tesla can, at 350 kilowatts. And Electrify America is finally implementing the plug-and-play technology, which Tesla kind of had all along, and the Mustang Mach-E and the Porsche Taycan will be the first two models that will be compatible with it, and that's a huge win. Of course, there's still plenty of improvement and expanding to do, but at this point, the argument that there is not enough of fast charging networks out there for you to own an electric car is pretty much gone. And of course, the worst thing that happened to the electric cars in 2020 was the NIKOLA disaster. As a matter of fact, you're not even going to see the B-roll, the videos that we usually run when I'm talking about something, because NIKOLA went after some of the YouTubers and journalists who were criticizing them, trying to take them down. When I reached out to NIKOLA saying, hey, are you going to do the same thing to me and others? They never said no, so I just don't feel comfortable running their video on my channel when I talk about their stories, even though I am protected by a fair use law. But bottom line, what happened was right after the deal that NIKOLA and GM struck together, which kind of proved that NIKOLA never had any technology, because in that deal, the technology was going from the GM to NIKOLA. Right after that, the Hindenburg research has published a pretty damning evidence against NIKOLA and its CEO. It exposed a lot of lies and the fact that NIKOLA never had the technology they claimed they did. It forced Trevor Milton out of the company, and GM has canceled the majority of the deal they had with Nikola, but the damage was already done. This story really damaged the public trust in the electric car startups, even in the electric car community. And the best thing that happened to electric cars, the #1 electric car news story of 2020, is Tesla's profitability. Yes, we know that Tesla has been making the best electric cars, well, the best cars for a while now, but all of this was essentially on daddy's money until 2020. For 4 quarters, Tesla has managed to turn profit, which means it became a sustainable company, and thus the example for the rest of the world that you can make great electric cars and still make money. Tesla has become the most valuable company in the world. They have also unveiled some amazing future tech at their battery day, so their future is bright, and this sets the example for the entire industry and removes the excuses of not making electric cars or only making it because of the stricter green laws. This shows that the future is electric, and that's where the money is as well. All right, so now let's play a little game, and you guys can play it as well in the comment section. And I'm going to talk about what I think is going to be the best and the worst news story in 2021. The worst story that I think I will be bringing you in 2021 is going to be that one of the electric car startups is going to be going bankrupt. The space is getting crowded, the time is running out, the big boys are catching up, and there are still a few startups that are behind. Of course, I'm talking about the Faraday Future, the Lordstown Motors, and Bollinger Motors. Of course, I would hate for any of them to go belly up, but I have a feeling I will be bringing you bad news about at least one of them. And the best story that I hope I will be bringing you in 2021 is the beginning of the mass adoption of electric cars. I've been waiting for this year for quite some time. I thought this would have already happened a couple of years ago. As a matter of fact, this is why my channel hasn't really flourished as much as any Tesla channel that was created in the last few years, because, you know, let's be honest, there hasn't been that much excitement outside of Tesla topics until I think now, and 2021 is the year. We've already seen a lot of advertisement. The Ford Mustang Mach-E, Lucid Air, Audi e-tron, Hummer EV, they've all had major advertisement spots on national television. We'll see more online ads, billboards, TV, and so forth. People can now afford these cars because they are getting cheaper, and the range has been finally pretty decent, over 200 miles for most electric cars coming to the market in 2021. And of course, as I mentioned earlier in this video, the infrastructure is finally here. It's not perfect, but it's good enough for people not to be afraid to try an electric car anymore. And I know I keep talking about all these awesome electric cars that are coming to the market in 2021. Well, if you're wondering what to watch next, I've already put a video together featuring all of them. All of the new electric car models of 2021. I put that link in the description of this video. If you're watching me on YouTube, all you have to do is click on that link in that corner. So I'm looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.